Hi, welcome to Android, and today we'll be discussing about our first project called HelloWorld, and then we'll try to understand the basic structure of how does it work. So let me just give you a brief idea about what was the reason I started HelloWorld. So one of the reason I wanted to talk about HelloWorld is that to get a basic idea about Android project. Android project. Okay, and then what we are going to do is that we will also discuss about little bit about various ADT tools used for development. After that, we'll talk about another project called Traveler Assistant. It is a full-blown Android project. In this one, we'll discuss about all the concepts we are going to cover throughout the course of Android. So what we are going to do is that we will start with a simple version 1 of this project. So Traveler Assistant version 1, okay? And then we'll go with version 2, version 3, and like this all the way to version 10 or 11, whatever it is. And in the whole process, we'll discuss about various concepts of Android one after another. So it will look like building layer by layer the complete understanding of Android. So that was the idea. So let us go and start with Android. Hello world. This is your Eclipse, and here if you see on the left side, these are the projects. Somebody who has already used Eclipse before may not have a very much difficulty to navigate through this, but for those who are new to Eclipse, let me just show you here. All the projects comes here, the properties, and here the two tabs, mostly the console and logcat is useful for Android purpose. In the console you can see the console of DDMS Android, and there is another tool I have, Aptana, but forget about that. Let us go Android 2. What we'll do is that we'll start with a basic hello world. Now you can create an Android project in Eclipse either using this menu, file, new, and Android project. So you can select Android project, and this will bring this screen to create the Android project. Or you can click this menu, this button, which is a shortcut for the same thing. So this is easier, so I just all the time do this. Now to start a project, obviously you will need a project name. So hello world. There is already a project, so I will call it my hello world. Add a project to working set. Now here are quite a good number of things which is possible. Either you can say create new project from workspace. In workspace, create project from existing source. So if you have a source code of a project already existing in your application, in your computer, then you can create an Eclipse project from that. Or you can create a project from existing sample. This sample means the sample which has come with the SDK. So I will show you the both of this one and this one. Let me just create this one, and then we'll create the other one as well. And this is to working set. It is a way to group various projects in Android as per your convenience. So let us create my hello world, and here you will see that various platforms which I have downloaded into my system are here: Android 1.5, 1.6, 2.1, 2.2, 2.3.1, 2.3.3, 3.0, 4.3. Now if you see that there is something called Google API and there is Android. and then again Google API and Android. Android, Google API, Android, Google API. What is the difference between this and this platform? The difference between this and this platform is very simple. What it says is that if you have any version of Android, so if you see, notice that both this one and this one has the same platform number, and they have the same API number also. So what is the difference? The difference is that a version of Android 2.1 plus Google Map Library is equals to Google API 2.1. So Android 2.1 plus Google Map Library is Google API 2.1. Now when you will select Google API, when you will select Android 2.1, if in your project you are not going to use the Google Map Library, then you don't need to select Google API. You can select just this one. But if you are going to use Google Map Library in your project, then you should select Google API. And the difference is that Google API is the same platform version, same API version, but it has additional Google Map Library as well in that platform, included in that platform. One more thing what I wanted to explain you here is that there is a two numbering convention. One is platform, other is API. What is so different about them? Effectively, there is not much different. It confuses people. The platform version is used for marketing purpose. It is used by the mobile reseller, distributor, manufacturer, and all of them, that they are using the Android platform 2.2. They are using 2.3. But each of those 2.3 or 2.4 have a very unique API level as well. Like all this 2.2 has a level called 8. 2.31 has 9. 2.3 has 10. So there is a one-to-one mapping between this platform version and the API version. Now why there are two versions? Very simple. API versions has been maintained just because the developers world generally likes the version of API. They don't go with the platform version. So it is more a convention rather than anything. But for every platform version there is an API version. Okay, so it is, and most of the time people use this one for all their communication purpose. Android 2.3, 3.0, 4.03, 4.03, but sometime you might find somebody say, I am working on Android API 11. You should be able to figure out that which platform version he is saying. He is talking about 3.0. If somebody says, hey, I am working on Android API version 8, it means that he is working on platform number version 2.2. So that is what we have to do. Now for every project you create in Android, you have to select that against which platform you are going to compile, build and deploy and test it. Because in your system there are so many platforms you have downloaded, you have to select one. What we'll do is that here we'll select 2.3.3. Okay, so let us select 2.3.3 for our development purpose. And then say next. After that, it says that give a package name. What is the package name? Package name is just a Java concept. What it means is that the package under which all your source code directory will exist, and not only that, this is the package name by which your application will be identified in your mobile phone when it gets installed. So there must be a unique name on your for this package name. Let me just explain you what I mean by that. So if there is a package name, so if there is an application called A1 and application called A2, and both has the package name called com.a. If you do like this, then what will happen is that when you install A2, it will override A1, and when you install A1, it will override A2. And the reason is that Android has a thing that packages must be unique across the all application. Packages must be unique across all apps. So this is what you have to be careful, that do not give a duplicate package name. Now let us go and look into this one and give a package name. For our purpose, let us give some package name, and generally we start with com and the company name and HelloWorld, so it doesn't matter. Now next page is create activity. What it means is that create a default screen for your project that is my HelloWorld activity. So, and you can leave it as it is. This is the minimum SDK. What it means is that if you are giving the SDK version of an application, minimum SDK, what it means is when this application will be installed on a phone or emulator, installer will check whether the platform which is there in emulator or phone is at least version 10 or not. If it is not, then it will not let you install this application there. The idea is that I am using some features of 10, so at least minimum 10 is required. But if you are not using version 10, you are using version 7 or 6, then you can say version 7 here as well. So this is more for the installer purpose. Installer will do a check during installation that does this phone has version 10 or not. So this is used for installer purpose. Okay. So let me just quickly make it here. So this is used by installer on phone to check platform version. So that is for just that purpose itself, nothing else. Okay, is it clear, everyone? So this is used by installer and phone to check platform version. Now let us go and see that what is the next step we have to do. So next step is click finish, and it will create a project called my hello world. And I need to just configure the working set, so just give me a minute. And I have a lot of projects, but I want to put my hello world into this one so that this is visible here. Okay, so here is my hello world. That is the first project which I have created here. Now to understand this, our purpose is that get a good understanding of all of these folders and directories and see what exactly is there inside each one of them and what is the main purpose of them. And slowly, once we understand that part, we will also understand that how can we build and install and test a sample hello world. So let us understand this, all of this one by one. This one is called source directory. Okay. So this is source directory, source code in Java. Okay, all the source code in Java is kept here. Now, after that, we have a next part is that this one, Android 2.3.3. That is nothing but Android SDK platform form library. Okay. So if you click this, you will see all the libraries in Android 2.3.3. See, all the packages and the libraries. Android, it is like a Android library, Android.jar. So this is using platform, it has taken from Isaac Android SDK platforms Android 10. So Android 10 is 2.3.3 and it is using the Android.jar against which it will compile and build all my application. So I am keeping the Android 2.3.3 platform in the path so that I can compile and build against them. Now let us understand other parts of this directory structure. What is this assets? So this one was source code in Java, source code in Java. This one was Android platform library, platform library. This is used to include external files in your project. External files could be a data file or image file or anything. This is the place where your APK is created. APK is created. So all the files are, after compiling and building, is kept into this part, bin. So that was all about source code and all. We'll look into this one in a while, so just stay with me. Now one of the most important location is called this resource directory. Okay. Now let us understand this resource directory. What exactly is this guy? Whenever you will develop an application, what an application will have, you will define some screen, write some Java code, declare some variables, and all of those things. Now in Android, all the screen designing happens through a concept called views and layouts. Not a new concept, but that happens here. And this is here UI design happen. Okay. So all the UI design layouts and everything in XML form is kept there. What is in this file? This file is basically a location where various string type of variables are declared. These are like a global variables. And what is this one? This one we call a Android manifest file. So this is basically a file which is used for declaring the very high level basic things about an application. Now what are those basic things and how we declare about them? So why don't we just have a look about each one of them one by one and we'll try to understand them. Okay. So let us go with that. Let us open this guy, HelloWorld activity.java. So if you open this file, by default it has created a very simple basic file. Don't worry about all of these things yet, we'll figure out later. Okay, but there is some basic Java file it creates. There is nothing in assets and bin because it is blank right now. There is a layout file, main.xml, and this one also we'll discuss in detail after a while. Main important thing here I wanted to talk about is this strings.xml. Now strings.xml, if you see here, there is a different way. You can say strings.xml. Let me just make it a little smaller. Shrink in here, little shrink in here and here. Now if you see this strings.xml file, here is a variable, here is a value. Here is a variable, here is a value. Now this is used so that you can declare all the different kinds of variables and value in a strings.xml file, and then you can use those variables in a different places, like inside this XML file or inside this XML file. You can use it and refer them. How you refer them? Think about this. So here is strings.xml, variable name is app_name. Let us see where this variable is used. In this XML file, we are using it apps_name. And how we refer this? @string. So this syntax @string means that please go to the strings.xml, check the value of this variable app_name and replace it at this location. Okay? So that is the way the variable and value works. Now same is goes with the hello variable. If you go into this one, you will say this @string hello. What it means is that this whole thing will be replaced by this one. So that is where strings is used for variable and value purpose. Now, is that the only way to do that? Can you declare other things like which are not a string, like dimension, the size, the boolean, true, false, the color? Android allows you to declare all kinds of XML resources in a format of variables and value. So it is perfectly fine if you want to declare variables and values in either of the format, whether it is a string, whether it is a boolean, or whether it is a color. Okay? Now, they can be treated as a kind of a global or set of fixed variables, values to be used in your application anywhere. Now, let me just explain you a little bit here. So, if you want to declare some boolean kind of a global variable, like is silent equals to true, then you can declare inside the bools.xml file. Inside color.xml file, you can say my color and can put the code of hexacode of color. So that is the way. Dimension, you can put button size equals to 10 dp. Now what it means is that all of these are the various ways to declare different kinds of a global variable which you can use in your which you can use in another XML file or hundreds of or 10 different Java source code which you have. So these are just the way to declare those variables. Now there is one more reason why these strings.xml are used, or the boolean.xml, or these are used. They are also used for localization purpose. So one of the purpose for using this is that localization. So strings.xml is also used for localization purpose. One purpose we already know is for declaring variables at project level and then using inside various Java or XML code. But one purpose is localization. I will explain you how it is used for localization purpose, but let us look into that before that how it is used for variable purpose, what is the syntax and all. So let me just show you the syntax for this one. This is the hello variable hello, and inside this we have seen this, we have also seen this one. Now if I want to see that how it works, here is how you can do. Let me first, before I show you the strings.xml, why don't I just go ahead and compile and build. Now to compile and build a Android project, you have to just go to project and you can say first clean and then select the project which you want to clean. I want to do my HelloWorld. By default it will select that one. You can say start a build immediately, build only the selected project. I am not interested into all the projects, so I will just select this one, and this has created and built the project, right? Now after it builds a project, you will see that inside the bin directory it will create an APK file and all. It is not showing this, but it has created one. Now let us run this one. How to run a Android application? There are two ways. Either you can say right mouse click and then the context menu will come. You can say run as and you can click Android application. That is the one way to do. Other way to do is that click this one. And when you click it, first time it will ask that how do you want to run it. And once you say Android application, next time it will not ask this question and it will continue like this. And by doing this, what it is doing is that it is going to launch an Android emulator. So launching a new emulator with virtual device AVD233. So it tries to find out that is there a emulator which is compatible with this Android project. And this will launch. Now we'll see my HelloWorld, HelloWorld, my HelloWorld. This kind of a thing will come in the picture. So let us let this guy start doing it. While it runs the emulator, there is one more important thing which comes very important, and that is, if you see in this one, this whole resource directory, this is an XML, this is an XML, these are the images. All of these XML during the build process and compile process get converted into a Java file. That is called this directory. If you are wondering that what is inside gen, there is nothing inside this gen. There is a file called r.java, and that is here. You will see this r.java. You are not supposed to do anything with this file r.java. It is auto-generated file, and never edit and mess around with this. But this is a representation of all those XML resources. You remember in the strings.xml, what are the resources we had? We declared this variable, we declared this variable, we had this layout, and this was the image. For each one of them, it created a Java object or a reference to Java object or some way to store Java object. How this r.java is exactly created is none of our business, and Android does not want you to understand that. Only thing is that it is used for internal consumption by Android. What we use is, whenever we need to use that particular variable and all, that time we'll use this, but we don't go inside this one. Okay? So this is the file, generated Java file r.java. Inside this gen directory, there is never any other file. You write it. They do not generate any other file unless there is some other case. But this is gen directory especially created for r.java. So let us close this directory now. So we have understood this part. We have understood this, assets, bin, resource directory. Now come back to strings.xml. So what we wanted to understand is that what is the so important thing about strings.xml. So let us go and see this. Our emulator has started by now, and it says my hello world, my hello world activity. Now from where these are printed? They are coming from this Android manifest.xml file and main.xml. So if you go into main.xml, here is this one. If I want to change the value, I can go into this one and I can change app name, just write it as app name, and this one I will say hello name. Okay. I will save it. Again I will do this. I will select the project, then I will go to this and do a clean and build and do this. Once it is done, it is pretty quick most of the time. I will again say click. If you notice one more thing, that every time I am making a changes, I am doing a compile and build, but I am not restarting the emulator again and again. Once the emulator is started, don't shut it down unless it hangs or crashes. Okay. See what happens. App name, hello name. This is the power of strings.xml. It is a global variable storage kind of a thing. Now, if you want to add some kind of a Boolean variable or something, then the other way to do is that click this one. It says create a new Android XML file. Now you can say my hello world, project name, resource type is values because it is going inside values, file name will be bool.xml. Okay, and say next, and you can say just finish. So now this one will add a Boolean kind of a thing, and here you can select what kind of a data you want to add here. You want to add color, dimension, drawable, integer array, item, string array, style theme, or this kind of a thing. So those are the things which you can add here. Now if I want to add here something different, you can add again here. Now let us understand about this concept. I said that localization. How the localization helps. So if you want to develop an application which will take care of other locale other than English, then the best part is that create a local file here. Now how does the local file get created? Let us do that. I will go here and give the same name, strings.xml. It says destination file already exists, but don't worry, just stay with me and go next. Here what you have to do is that you have to give the language, qualify a language, and let us assume that I want to do it for French. So I will say French. Now if you notice here, but the moment I typed here fr, a directory got created, values-fr. And now when I say finish, a new directory called values-fr got created, and inside that strings.xml file also got created. Now what is the difference between this XML and this XML? It is very important. What happens is that in this strings.xml, you can copy all of this from here, copy it here, save all of them, and now here in this one, because this is inside values-fr, you can put here some French version of hello name and French version of app name. Okay, so now once you put here, let us put some, I don't know French, but anything here in French corresponding to hello name you can put. French hello name, French app name. Now save it. Now if you see that I have two strings.xml file in two different directory, and each one of them does some work and does it. I have put here French app name, French hello name, What it means is that there are two values directory, values-fr, strings.xml here, strings.xml here. Now, how does localization work? It is very simple. When your phone get installed, when your application get installed on a phone, application itself has a mechanism to find out what is the locale of that phone. So if that phone's locale is French, then take all the strings.xml and resource files from a directory called values-fr if it exists. If it does not exist, then take it from values directory. So the fallback mechanism is always values directory if the localization files are not there. But if it is there, then give them a preference. So what happens is that by doing this way, if you are going to launch your application in 10 different languages, then you should have this values directory, 10 different values directory. Each one of them should have strings.xml and their values of the variables should be as per the corresponding language and the localization. Okay, and rest of the work, picking up the correct strings.xml based on the localization of the phone, that is done by the phone itself. So you don't have to do anything. Your job is only to create different directories for different locale. Now let us assume I want to create another locale, and I will say strings.xml, and let us go and create again language, add, and this time I want to do it for Chinese. Okay, create here. Now see, now I have another directory called values-cn. Now based on that, it will pull the strings.xml for the Chinese locale, French locale, and depending on that, it will use those characters which make sense for that locale or for that culture. So that is the use of strings.xml and for localization purpose. So very important usage, but we'll see that how we can use that. Now, since we are going to develop mostly for the English locale, so I'm just going to delete these guys to remove the clutter a little bit. But idea was just to understand in case you are going to develop something for that. Okay. Now let us see a few other things what we can understand about these things. So there is a layout file. We'll understand about layout in little a while. Now next one is Android manifest.xml file.